Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. Ha ha ha.
One rabbit.
It's rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. I say it's duck season, and I say fire.
Who is it?
Worst nightmare.
Yeah.
What's up, Doc?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Honestly, guys, I hope that you really enjoyed that opening skit that I did there. I've been thinking about doing opening skits for a while. The problem is that they can take quite a long time to produce depending on what I want to do with them. That one in particular took me about 45 minutes total to, compile and put together. But if you guys enjoyed it, please do let me know. And if I get enough positive feedback, I might do more of those in the future. So we are here today to talk about The Matrix Resurrections. And guys, honestly, for this movie, what I am hoping for is that opening skit is not the premise for the movie. It's the whole thing of, oh, what if Neo, instead of, taking the red pill from Morpheus, took the blue pill and just, kept downing him like a fucking drug addict would. And then he doesn't get awakened until, the 50th version of the Matrix. But enough about me rambling. We're going to get into this article right here. The Matrix Resurrections has unique sequel challenges. The Matrix Resurrections is one of the most hotly anticipated sequels in years. It also has a number of unique hurdles that other sequels don't. Each time a franchise releases a new movie decades after the last, The Matrix Revolutions came out, let's see, this video is coming out on September 14th, 2021. So we are talking 18 years removed. Yeah, I was right. I almost said 17, but no, it was 18 years because it came out in 2003. Each time a franchise releases a new movie decades after the last, there's always a risk, but The Matrix Resurrections has particular challenges that are unique to it. The fourth movie in the Matrix franchise, directed by Lana Wachowski. Is that Andy or Larry? I can't remember. I can't keep up with the news anymore. Is releasing 17 years after what was thought to be the final movie. Ha! We got him. It was 18 years because The Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions both came out in 2003, and they released 6 months apart from each other. But in 2017, rumors started circulating that Warner Brothers was planning a reboot of the franchise, and in August 2019, it was officially announced that a reboot wasn't happening, but Lana Wachowski was returning for a fourth Matrix movie and direct sequel. As with most sequels long in the making, it will be a mix of old and new. Leading the Matrix 4 cast are Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, who are returning, along with Jada Pinkett Smith, Lambert Wilson, and Daniel Bernhardt. The majority of the cast, however, are brand new faces to the Matrix franchise. They include Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, I hope I pronounced that name right, as a young Morpheus, and that's a damn shame. They got Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, but they couldn't get Lawrence Fishburne. I think that however you pronounce his name, that Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, he's gonna have one hell of a hill to climb to try to take on that mantle of Morpheus from Lawrence Fishburne, along with Neil Patrick Harris, Jessica Henwick, Jonathan Groff, Priyanka Chopra, Christina Ricci, Thelma Hopkins, Toby. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his fucking last name. Max Ramel, Brian J. Smith, and Arindra Ibada. all in undisclosed roles. As expected, even less is known about the story. The first trailer for The Matrix Resurrections revealed, actually, instead of just reading to you what the trailer reveals, why don't I just, show it to you? If you've already seen the trailer, I'm going to put a time code up on the screen so that you know where to skip to in case if you've already seen the trailer or just don't give a fuck about seeing the trailer. So let's go ahead and play the trailer right here.
Thomas? You seem particularly triggered right now. Can you tell me what happened?
I've had dreams that weren't just dreams. Am I crazy?
We don't use that word in here.
Hi.
Have we met?
One pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Go ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall.
Time to fly.
And if you go chasing rabbits,
If you want the truth, Neo, you're going to have to follow me.
and you know you're going to fall.
The only thing that matters to you is still here. I know it's why you're still fighting and why you will never give up. You don't know me. No?
When logic and proportion have fallen, so be dead. And the white knight is talking backwards, and the red queens are with her head. Remember what the dogma said. Feed your
After all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
Now let's dig into the article's first point here, and that is the first Matrix movie was so influential it may seem derivative now. This isn't necessarily a problem unique to the Matrix Resurrections. I almost said Revolutions. Matrix Revolutions fucking sucked, by the way. Or even the movies, but it's certainly a degree of magnitude more significant than most. There's no official term for it, and everyone seems to have their own phrase for the phenomenon where a body of work was so enormously influential in decades past that when that filmmaker or musician or writer releases something new for the first time in decades, the young, brand new audience views that work as derivative. A few people have dubbed it the John Carter effect, and John Carter of Mars is an apt example for the eponymous term. Edgar Rice Burroughs' property has been around since 1912 and was vastly influential on later works of science fiction, including Dune, Flash Gordon, Superman, Avatar, even Star Wars. And most of your favorite science fiction properties was probably inspired one way or another by John Carter of Mars. Yet, by the time Disney finally released the first John Carter movie in theaters in 2012, it ironically came across as a generic mishmash of those very same franchises to a new audience that had no connection to the original source material, and it subsequently bombed in theaters. Now, there is a lot of reasons why John Carter bombed at the box office, Okay, it is true that one of those reasons is that John Carter is such an old franchise that like nobody knew what it was. But another part of it was, Disney didn't really market that movie. But again, that is a separate video for another time. I can dedicate an entire video to just why Disney's John Carter movie failed. And I don't even have to watch the movie for 1 second. It's very, very well documented, but I don't want to waste, I don't want to sit here and go on for 20 minutes about Disney's John Carter. So let's get back to The Matrix Resurrections. While it's highly unlikely The Matrix Resurrections will bomb, it does face that same challenge with the new generation. It's impossible to overstate how influential The Matrix was when it first came out in 1999. And this is the problem that this article is using, is that this is a direct sequel to those first 3 Matrix movies. So why can't people go back and just rewatch those first 3 Matrix movies? They want to compare it to, John Carter of Mars. At this point, this author here is comparing apples to oranges, in my opinion. The modern technique used to create the bullet time effect of a scene frozen in time is ubiquitous in movies today, but a new method was pioneered for the original Matrix. No. Bullet time was around before The Matrix even came out. It was a relatively new thing in the 90s. And nobody credits The Matrix for creating bullet time. Everybody credits The Matrix for perfecting bullet time. There's a difference. But yes, bullet time is very synonymous with The Matrix. Especially with the scene on the rooftop. Everybody has probably either seen this scene in particular or has seen a parody of it where you have Neo dodging the 3 bullets fired by Agent Smith. The term derived from the scene in which Neo dodges a bullet for the first time. In 1999, watching Neo slow down time enough to see the ripples of displaced air a bullet made as it tore through the air was groundbreaking. Now it's simply commonplace. The effect used across movies, TV, and video games. Beyond just bullet time, The Matrix advanced movie-making visuals and VFX techniques to the point it essentially became the blueprint for modern superhero films, leading to the rise of the comic book movie genre in the early 2000s to today, where it now dominates modern audiences' perception of blockbusters. Likewise, the story elements that The Matrix tackled of AI being in a simulation and the dangers of the internet were brand new in 1999, when only about 50% of American households had a computer. But again, I do think there are aspects of The Matrix that still hold up today, especially when you consider the younger generation and phone addiction. Well, there you go. There's the being in The Matrix. There's the being in the simulation aspect. 20 years later, those concepts have been explored ad nauseum in everything from Free Guy to Black Mirror. The Matrix Resurrections will be hard-pressed to tackle those themes in such a way that they can still seem fresh and relevant. But again, I think The Matrix can get away with copying bullet time, given that the Matrix was the movie that perfected bullet time, but it didn't create bullet time. And here's the article's second point here. The look of The Matrix Resurrections might throw people. Stemming from that concept of what was once influential now seems derivative, the look of The Matrix Resurrections may disappoint some. The original movie had a lot of gray and blue tones with tinges of sepia and lurid yellow-green, with that green tint heightened in the Matrix sequels. And the original movie shortly being remastered with a stronger green tone. It's that and the iconic green and black color scheme of the falling code that people tend to associate most closely with the quote-unquote look of the Matrix franchise. One that slotted neatly to the cyberpunk explosion in the mid-90s to early 2000s. The new trailer for The Matrix Resurrections, however, shows a film that is far brighter and less green tinged than the original movies, which is partially due to narrative continuity. The rebooted Matrix cycle at the end of The Matrix Revolutions looked distinctly different from the ones that came before. Brighter and sunnier, it suggested a more hopeful future. With the numerous shots backlit by the setting sun in the new trailer, it appears this might still be the case in the new movie. So, The Matrix Resurrections is a direct sequel to The Matrix Revolutions, which is not really a bad thing, despite the fact that The Matrix Revolutions is a shitty movie. That is the only movie that every fan of The Matrix despises. Everybody loves the first movie. depending on who you talk to, The Matrix Reloaded is a guilty pleasure. For me, The Matrix Reloaded is a guilty pleasure. And The Matrix Revolutions absolutely fucking sucked. You know, if you remember that episode of The Big Bang Theory, they actually made a joke to it when Sheldon's being questioned by Eliza Dushku's FBI agent, where how can I describe Howard Wolwitz's character? Oh, he once told me I should go see The Matrix Revolutions because he said, quote, "It's just as good as the first." However, the chart also shows that The Matrix Resurrections has fallen prey to the scourge of the blue and orange color palette of modern movies. There's a reason this color scheme dominates so many movies today, the main reason being that, as blue and orange are on opposite sides of the color wheel, they're complementary. Well, no shit. Blue and orange are chosen over other pairings because orange works best with human skin tone, which tends to fall into the orange range. On top of that, the shift to digital over film meant that suddenly it was much easier to color grade multiple scenes simultaneously with a single color scheme. Color correcting is a long, painstaking process when done scene by scene, and the schedule of most blockbusters doesn't allow for that much time. So the much easier, faster process is to choose one color palette that complements most scenes in a movie and apply it to as much as possible, hence the dominance of blue and orange in movies. It's understandable, but unfortunately, it means The Matrix 4 runs the risk of looking like every other tentpole movie today, when historically, its legacy has been to establish the look for movies that follow. And this is the article's third and final point here. The blue pill, red pill concept is damaged goods now. Upon its release in 1999, The Matrix offered up a narrative that was steeped in the ethos of the late 90s, filtered through the classical philosophical lenses of Plato's Allegory of the Cave. The concept, by the way, guys, for those of you that don't know what the Allegory of the Cave is, I'm personally, I'm not going to go into it right here because, again, we would probably be here for the next 20 minutes, but it's a pretty interesting story if you actually read it. The concepts of being a corporate drone versus freedom from being chained to a desk, the way capitalism has turned people to mindless consumers, technology being used to impinge on one's privacy, and a society remaining sedated and docile through mindless content and mundane daily routines were big narrative through lines of pop culture in the growing cynicism of the late 1990s. The Wachowskis distilled those abstract ideas down to the simple framework of taking a blue pill versus a red pill. Now, the red pill, blue pill philosophy did exist long before The Matrix, to be fair. The Wachowskis did not create that. Taking the blue pill erases the knowledge of the real world from a person's mind. Taking the red pill wakes them up to the truth of the world, which is that it's an artificial construct known as the Matrix. Unfortunately, in the 2 decades since, the entire concept has been co-opted by the alt-right. Initially, the red pill was taken from the Matrix and incorporated into the hostile manosphere of the internet, from men's rights groups to pickup artist forums to rape apologists, all gravitating toward Reddit forum The Red Pill, which espoused that women actually ruled the world and men were victims in the real oppressed class. It swiftly spread to other far-right corners of conspiracy theorists today. Quote, taking the red pill, or quote, being red-pilled, is used by everyone from QAnoners to white nationalist neo-Nazis to mean someone who has been, quote, awakened to the truth of the world. That truth varying depending upon which particular conspiracy theory one adheres to, or minority group one irrationally hates. Now, and this is something that I want to bring up here, is the fact that they even acknowledge that, like, The Matrix was huge when it came out. The Matrix was culturally relevant back in 1999, and it still is. And this is one of the dangers of creating something that is this culturally significant, is that, you know, no matter who you are, people are going to take, I don't care what the Wachowskis intended to mean by taking the red pill, taking the blue pill. That doesn't matter in something that is this culturally relevant and open to interpretation, because so many people have seen it. They're going to have their own interpretations, and this is bound to happen. It happened with Star Wars. It happened with Ghostbusters, and I remember when Hillary Clinton used Ghostbusters as part of her 2016 election campaign. And people didn't cry about it then, but now they're crying about the fact that, that with The Matrix, that people have corrupted the idea of taking the red pill, when it's happened with every other franchise that has ever been culturally relevant. You know, it happened with The Matrix. It's gonna happen again. It's gonna happen to the next culturally relevant franchise that comes along. This is nothing to really be, you know, I would say this is nothing to be concerned with and nothing really worthy to, you know, complain about. Oh, it's damaged goods. I would argue no, it's not. And if Lana Wachowski wants to try to get away from, you know, the blue pill, red pill concept, there's gonna be a lot of division in the fan base where it's like, okay, what's the point of even making The Matrix if you're gonna take out the red pill, blue pill? It's one of the most famous scenes from the original movie. But anyway, I've tangented for too long. The Matrix Resurrections has its work cut out for it to reclaim the concept from the cesspools of festering digital sewage that have held it hostage over the years and transformed it into something vile. You know what you know who this author is like really striking me as is if anyone has ever seen the movie Clerks 2, and there's that one scene when Randall yells out a racial slur that I can't see on YouTube anymore, but the clip has been on YouTube for several years, and it's basically just Randall going into saying a bunch of racist jokes for 5 minutes, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna try to reclaim it because, you know, my grandmother used to say it, and the problem is if I get to laughing too hard about the scene, I'm gonna inevitably quote it, and I don't want to get myself into trouble. So go look that up, because I'm not even gonna risk playing it here. But anyone who's seen Clerks 2 immediately knows which scene I'm talking about. And if you don't know, it's the moment with Wanda Sykes. That's all I'm saying. The idea of taking a red pill is now firmly steeped in negative connotations, and it will be a challenge to redirect the idea to aim at the target it was meant to. Again, when you create something that is this culturally relevant, it doesn't matter what the original artist intended. You know, that's the reality. That's the reality that they teach you in art school, is that once you can create something in a vacuum, you know. So, you know, just for example, you can write a novel on your computer on a word processor and just have it there reading for yourself. And okay, that's fine and dandy. So what was your intent? Oh, my intent was, you know, XYZ. But the moment that you release that into the world, and God forbid it becomes a culturally relevant book, now you're going to have people going, well, you actually meant ABC, or you meant DFQ. You know, it doesn't matter if you meant XYZ. No. The original work is now, you know, gone out into the ethos, has gone out into the zeitgeist. So good luck trying to get it back. That target, of course, is punching up at those in power rather than what it's become today, which is people with power convincing themselves they're actually victims and punching down. When people like Elon Musk and Ivanka Trump tweeting about taking the red pill with zero self-awareness or indication of irony, it's a blaring neon sign that the concept has jumped the shark. And while certainly possessing less of a squick factor, the idea that taking a blue pill, i.e. a prescription drug, in any way dulls ones to the real world or turns ones into a sheep is still a problematic message and outdated notion. I'm gonna reserve my opinion here, because doing so I would have to quote Ted Kaczynski, and I really don't want to go down that rabbit hole today, because boy, oh boy, we could be here for the next 2 hours if we were to talk about Ted Kaczynski and his Unabomber manifesto. By the way, which is still available on FBI.gov. That's not to say there's still not. That's not to say there's not still much to be excited about for The Matrix Resurrections. Lana Wachowski is a deliberate and thoughtful, dynamic filmmaker and one of the most ambitious storytellers in Hollywood. The Wachowskis have not had much success outside of The Matrix. I mean, Speed Racer was actually a good adaptation of the original anime. The problem with Speed Racer, though, was the fact that it was marketed to the wrong audience. It was marketed to 10-year-olds when it really should have been marketed to the fans of the original anime. And I mean, sure, they wrote the movie V for Vendetta with Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman, and that was a pretty good movie. But I mean, other than The Matrix, you know, what else do they have? Cloud Atlas. Ooh. And I can't really give too much crap to Jupiter Ascending, because I actually have a soft spot for Jupiter Ascending. It is a guilty pleasure of mine. The movies and TV shows she's made with her sister Lily haven't always landed, with their vast ambition outstripping a cohesive narrative. Yeah, watch the movie Cloud Atlas for that. But Wachowski remains a must-watch filmmaker, if only because what she has achieved was her grand vision. Hold on, I lost my place, sorry guys. If only because what she has achieved when her grand visions have lined up with the execution continuously hints at the potential inherent in her project. Hopefully, even without Lily this time around, Lana Wachowski has another jaw-dropping film on her hands with The Matrix Resurrections. Again, I don't remember if Lana was formerly Andy or Larry, because I can't keep up with the Wachowskis at this point. You know, it's like trying to keep up with the Kardashians. But guys, I've pretty much gone on for as long as I need to go. I know I like to, you know, close off with a few minutes and, you know, give more of my spin, but I've pretty much done that throughout this entire video up to this point. So, truthfully, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you guys have been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at ending these videos. So I will just see you guys next time.